En anglais, s'il vous plaît.
Each team has 20 minutes to present its case to the judges. I will show a board for the 10, 5, last 2 minutes, and last 30 seconds of the presentation. During the last 10 seconds of the speech, I will indicate with my 2 hands the number of remaining seconds. A team not having ended its presentation after 20 minutes will be stopped to move on to the period of question. A period of question of a maximal duration of 5 minutes is assigned to the jury at the end of the presentation. I would like to remind the jury that it's mandatory to ask at least one question during this period. I will invite the judges to introduce themselves and then the team can begin.
Hello, my name is Mary Claire Martin and I'm a manager at Assumption Life.
Hi, my name is Pablo Montreuil. I'm president at the Sparks Advisory Group.
So we spend a lot of time at work, lots. We also spend a lot of time getting to know our colleagues. And sometimes we get to know a little bit too much about them. But I wouldn't change that for the world. That feeling is huge. And I feel when I walk into work that my colleagues are my second family. And that's what you offer. Assumption Life offers a place where they can walk in and they can feel part of a larger family. So we are BWG Consulting. This is my colleague Chanel. This is David. My name is Emily, and we are here today to advise you on how to better integrate a collaborative environment. So we're going to go through 5 I's. We're going to go through the itinerary, then after that, look at the insights. We want to see what the big idea is, how we are going to implement that, and the impact it will have on your company. So let's start with where are you now? So you're in excellent financial health, and you're looking to grow, which is excellent. You really embrace this large family way of dealing with your employees. And you're part of the best places to work in Atlantic Canada. You've been ranked 14th, and that's such a big accomplishment. And you are going to face a renovation soon enough. And what this is going to do is really going to change the entire dynamics and get people out of their comfort zone. Employees are resisting to this, and therefore they have low employee engagement. That's why we really want to help transform that. So where you want to be, you want to still establish yourself as the market leader in the financial area. You want to foster communication and collaboration amongst all your employees. And you really want to remain that top employer, have that overall positive work environment, and have strong communication and collaboration amongst all. So why are we here today? We are here today to advise Assumption Life on how to ensure that the workplace development program goes smoothly. What are we going to consider here? We're considering employee resistance. People don't like change. And how are we going to deal with this? Second, the intergenerational conflict. Some people are getting the privilege to stay in their office and others aren't. Third, organizational commitment. People are unhappy. How do we assure that they are engaged and committed to you and really productive every day they come in and step in the door? And finally, company growth. We need to consider that you are expanding and there are new hires, and the onboarding process is really important, especially when there's a negative environment at the workplace. So let's just go over one more time. Like I said, company growth, excellent financial health, and you guys are having new hires. And the importance of onboarding is so important because if you have new people coming in and the atmosphere is not good, they're not going to have a satisfying experience and they won't deliver what you're looking for them to deliver. So there's an unexpected announcement right now. Pretty much, in November, they find out that they're no longer going to have closed door offices. 75% of the employees are losing it, and only 25%, those with most seniority, get them. Now, a lot of people perceive losing closed door offices as a loss of status, let's say. But we really need to consider that it's not a loss of status, and if anything, benefits show that lighting and open atmospheres actually increase productivity. So those benefits are really important to stress, and to really show employees that just because they aren't going to have a closed door doesn't mean that they're any less important in company eyes. That's why benefits should be emphasized, and faced with resistance, there is a really urgent need to really provide tools and to listen to our employees' concerns and let them feel heard. So there's a lack of communication and cooperation with the colleagues. So right now, because some people are unhappy about the whole thing, they don't want to communicate with one another, and they're really they're creating this divide. This is creating jealousy amongst some people because they really want that corner office. And the overall work environment is just not a pleasant one to work. And millennials, they walk in and they absolutely love the open concept. They think they love communication, they love being part of something bigger, and that's why it's really important that to provide the tools that are really necessary to ensure that communication across the platform. Now, organizational commitment. You guys do an excellent job with recognition programs and various social activities to really get everybody and all the employees engaged. You are ranked 14th, therefore you're doing an excellent job recruiting and attracting. But there is a decrease in productivity when people do not feel engaged. And because of this change, and because they aren't happy right now, this is what they're dealing with. And studies show that 5% increase in employee engagement actually leads to a 3% increase in revenue. That just stresses how crucial and important it is to find ways to obtain this organizational commitment amongst all our employees. Now, how will we move forward? So you really want to create a collaborative work environment that's going to foster this communication and the cooperation. How are we going to do so? So in terms of communication, the biggest problem, they're having conflicts. We're going to create an internal communication plan that's really going to allow the free flow of information within the company. Team activities. You are doing various social activities, but we want to step it up a notch, especially because they are faced with a difficult situation at the moment. Mentorship program. There's an intergenerational gap, so we definitely want to make sure that people respect the knowledge that some have, and then as well, instead of thinking that, oh, they're coming in and taking our offices, we really want them to really bond and speak with one another. And finally, because we are taking away some of the offices and some seniors feel like they're losing privilege, we want to make sure we can reward and recognize their seniority in different ways other than just offering them offices with closed doors. So I will pass on the floor to David, who will further explain how we will accomplish these tactics.
Thank you, Emily. So now that we know that as a company, you're doing great, you state yourself as wanting to do what's best for your employees. But by creating this family around your whole company, you yourself want to have this collaborative, teamwork-based environment. So how can you foster change through a big idea? This idea, everyone will have them on their mouth, everyone will talk about this idea, and everyone will be aware of what's the plan. So how are you going to sell a bunch of tactics to your board? How are you going to sell it to your employees? So we propose to you Assumption Life, the family experience, focusing on how your employees can be a family together and how can they collaborate to work together as a family. So it's really about showing the collaboration and the tight-knit teams that your company can have. So by allowing to have open concept in your offices, employees will get to know each other better. They're right now in closed offices. We know by seniority they are going to have still closed offices, but we really want to stress how your employees are all going to be on board once they see this big family and once they see the value added to their job. So if we look at an implementation overview, so we mentioned a few tactics, but how are we going to make sure that this is respected, and how are we going to implement this in a timely manner? So in the first, so we divided it in 3 phases over 1 year, starting with the talk, the share, and the bond. So 3 things that highlight each phase and really stress the importance of each and every single one of them. In the talk phase, so from 0 to 2 months, you will have a general meeting. You announce what the structure will be, you announce new things, but your employees might have questions. You might want to provide more insight. And having this family perspective will really get everyone on board, and we will show you how exactly. You want to stress an open door policy for your HR team. Your HR team in this type of project deployment might be needed or requested even more. So you want to make sure that you're able to listen to your employees. Your employees might have concerns, but you want to reassure them. Reassurance is going to be key to making sure that your employees are able to perform well, and you're going to be able to hire your new employees in the future. Review the construction. We want to make sure that some guidelines are put into the project to respect your employees a little bit more, and we want to see if that's possible within your timeline and budget. We want to integrate change leaders. So people in every department that are going to be able to embrace the change and repent and expand that message that you want to propose. The share phase. So in the medium term, so from 2 to 8 months, you're going to introduce lunch and learn. Abilities for your older, more senior employees to share what they know, to share their knowledge and experience to more junior employees, and vice versa. So junior employees might be straight out of school, they might know theories that could help your more senior people to improve their job. So you really want to foster this collaborative environment that you already have by exponentially integrating it. Mentorship program. Your new employees that are going to come in might feel that within this change, there's a lot going on. You want to make sure that you assign them a leader that will allow them to be taken forward. Volunteering hours, you're currently doing amazing initiatives to foster this collaborative environment that you have. And we want to make sure that volunteering hours are proposed in this family aspect once again. A Polaroid wall. I'm going to get back to that a little later, but just creating a family tree that will allow all your employees to see what place do they take in this whole Assumption Life family. In the bond phase, so from the last phase of our implementation, all-inclusive events. So making sure that everyone is welcome to all events and that you allow your employees to get to know each other outside of work. When they get to work, they're going to be more collaborative and work better as a team. Sit down with HR. So after a year, you might have some feedback and you really want to make sure that your employees are able to come see you at all time. But after 1 year, you want to make sure that everyone has given their feedback into the open concept and how can you work with them to move forward. We know as a business it's impossible to create closed office for everyone. It's very costly and there is a lot of potential benefit to open space, but you want to make sure that you stress them to your employees and you take their feedback. They might have crazy good ideas, but you want to make sure that you foster them. An internal communication plan through some IT platforms that we're going to integrate. So the general meeting, this is something that we're very excited to propose. We want your employees to be able to show their seniority other than by having a closed office. You want to make sure that you reward them in a possible way. So what we see outside today, it's snowy, it's very cold. So what great initiative to give everyone a winter coat with the year they started. Really showing how they are a diverse team, how they everyone completes each other by showing their seniority, by showing not only, oh, I'm an older employee, I have more rights. No, by showing how everyone can work together as a team. And I can be friends with somebody who has been here for 10 years, and this will add value to my work. So we want to integrate, we want to give out codes to everyone. So these options are going to be two things that you want to integrate in the very, very short term. So for example, next week you want to have a general meeting, and now that you're going to be giving out some sponsorship items, this internal sponsorship will foster this change. Open door policy, we imagine that you already have an open door policy for your HR team. However, you really want to leverage that, making sure that everyone is aware and is able to come see you if they have any questions. Change leaders. So we mentioned having change leaders in every department. Those are people that are key performers or key influencers in every department, and they're going to be able to gather the feedback that's informal so that you don't have to fill out a survey because surveys are often biased, not everyone fills them and so on. So you really want to have change leaders that are going to be there within your company to give the feedback on an informal basis, but also is able to communicate the information that your HR and strategy team wants to send out to your employees. So they're going to be there on a day-to-day basis to get that feedback. Set up the move. So we know that your employees might be dealing with confidential information or having calls or meetings with customers. And that might be a reason why they don't want to change to a closed office. So in the change, you want to make sure that you, for example, your 16th floor can be used to create meeting rooms. So one-on-one rooms or phone call rooms that people can use as they want to serve that purpose. So it's going to be very important that you foster that within your new implementation. And ensure that it's an easy move. People don't want to have to work. It's going to be easier for you to sell that idea of the move and having a more engaged and more happy employees if you help them within that move. So you want to make sure that, for example, you hire a team that's going to be able to move their files and filing cabinet so that they don't have to do it themselves, as it was the plan previously. So if we look at the medium term, the lunch and learns. So I mentioned this idea of being able to share and create small groups that are going to be able to collaborate together. So this will allow to create tighter teams. And for example, they can have sales tactics workshop. So somebody that's more senior would share with new hires how they can sell and what are great experiences that they live with customers and how they go above and beyond every day to help their customers. Volunteer hours. You're currently doing a lot of initiatives to help your community, but as a family, so having this big family working together, you want to integrate more volunteering hours. And maybe allow everyone's team to come on board and invite the spouse and children to join you in those volunteering initiatives so that it creates a very big family and everyone's involved and attached to those volunteering hours that you're doing. Moving forward in the medium term, mentorship. This is going to be very key for your new hires, but especially for rewarding those more senior people. By having the ability to mentor a new employee, they are going to be able to share that knowledge and see their value. So you really want to make sure that they're able to put forward what they've learned in their experience and how can they benefit the firm as a whole. So mentorship is going to be great for that because it will allow your employees to be paired up with a more senior and more junior people. And it's a both-way relationship. Let's not forget that more senior people can also learn from more junior people. The family tree. This is something we're very excited to bring forward. It's a very simple idea, but it will also allow your employees to feel rewarded and see their picture in the big family and literally see their picture. So as part of the onboarding process, you're going to take a picture with a Polaroid of everyone in the company, and they're going to be able to place their picture on a wall, or if you will cut out a tree, part of what's called board or whatever, and they're going to be able to place their picture part of the family tree. So it's going to be allowing them to see where they belong and see that you're a big family together and everyone's collaborative and everyone's working together. So when they see, they go back to their desk and they see, oh, yeah, I put my picture next to you. So they're going to have a starter conversation topic, and it's going to create tighter teams within your company. So if we move forward to the longer term, the bond phase, I'm going to let Chanel explain that in depth, and then she will move forward.
Thank you. So the last step of our implementation is all about family bonding. So this is going to be a way to get everyone together, all the different employees from all the different departments, to really come together, get to know each other, and more importantly, open up the communication, because they may not always get the chance to, given they're in different departments. So the first thing we want to do is have family parties. So these are going to be all-inclusive events. We're going to have them one in the summer, which is going to be a summer barbecue, and then we're going to have an end-of-year holidays party. So it's going to be everyone together, really giving that sense of family so that they can really get to know one another, and really giving a sense of belonging and creating relationships. Then we want one-on-one with HR. Now this is very important because this is going to be an opportunity for all the employees to voice their concerns with HR directly. So we'll discuss the impacts of the open concept, and lastly, it'll give us an opportunity to improve on the feedback. For example, if one of the employees after our implementation, we've realized that they really do need a glazed wall, then after that year, we will then decide if maybe adding that glazed wall is important for them. Also, communication platform. Back to opening up the communication. We want to implement a platform like Slack or Yammer, for example, where all the different employees will be able to communicate amongst each other in a very quick and effective way, and really opening up even, let's say they went on a trip for a weekend, they can send a photo of different things that they did to really create, once again, that sense of family. Now, if we take a financial overview, we put a financial budget aside of $349,790. Now, we have one-time cost, which, for example, encompasses the general meeting at the beginning of $67,000. And it's important to reiterate that you guys have $1.6 billion in assets under management in 2015, which means you're in a financial healthy position, and we want you to stay at that position, which is why we feel investing in your employees is vital. Now, if we see the breakdown of the costs, starting with the family tree at $1,750, we have all of our recurring costs, moving down to our one-time costs, for example, the volunteering hours, the moving help of $25,000, bringing us to our total of $349,790. Now, as for our risks, contingencies, and mitigations, one of the risks we came up with is the persistent conflicts. We were able to mitigate this by having the all-inclusive events, by having mentorship, and so on. If this conflict were to persist, we would then reevaluate the attribution of the offices. Then, if we have the complicated move, we were able to mitigate this by using the 16th floor only as basically a swing space. But if this were too complicated, then what we would do is reevaluate the floor plans and only move the people once the floors are done. So basically, once the floor has been completely constructed, we would have everyone move down versus the swapping up and down. Lastly, low participation at events. We feel that this is extremely important. We really want everyone to come together because we're going to communicate the values, the added value and the benefits of having everyone together by creating that sense of family. And we mitigated this risk by adding it to performance evaluations to really get everyone actually at these events. Now, how are we going to ensure that our implementation is working? Because not only do we want it to work, we want it to be sustainable. We want it to last long term. So we want a 5% employee engagement. We feel that this is extremely important, and as mentioned, 5% increase in employee engagement leads to 3% increase in annual revenue. Now, we want 85% of onboarding satisfaction through the surveys with HR on one-on-ones. We want 75% participation rate for the lunch and learns, the family tree, and we want performance evaluation increase of 5%. Now, I'm going to pass on the floor to Emily, who's going to conclude our presentation.
So if there's one thing to take away from this presentation, it would be to really create the collaborative work environment and foster communication and collaboration amongst our employees. And how we're doing that is really Assumption Life, the family experience. We're proposing a way that we could become a family all together by really having an internal communication plan, by bonding with team activities, by really fixing those generational conflicts, by mentoring and respecting one another and really discussing and sharing the knowledge that each one has. And finally, by rewarding seniors who feel like they're getting stripped away from their privileges of having a closed door, but then honoring them by showing them on the family tree and showing them on all different ways that we can really thank them for their work at the company. So we would like to thank you for making us part of your larger family, and the floor is open to any questions.
In your contingency plan, basically you're here trying to convince us that this is the plan, this is going to work and all that. However, it seems that there's part of the contingency to reevaluate the attribution of the office and reevaluate the floor plan and move on. So it seems the contingency is to go back to where we are right now. I'm a little bit uncomfortable with that. Can you clarify?
So basically, reevaluating the attribution of the offices, it's really based on performance. If let's say we really see that a certain employee really does need a certain office space that needs like a glazed wall, then at that point we'll really add that glazed wall for that specific employees. So that's really not just giving someone a glazed wall just because they've been there for, let's say, third year, but if it's really because they need it for security reasons, for information, then that's what we would do.
And the reevaluation of the floor plan and move people.
That was basically the moving of, because the 16th floor has a construction, and instead of moving people back and forth, once the floor is done, move them back on their same floor that they were at. We basically would construct the floor. Once the floor is done, just have everyone move down, instead of keeping them at the same floor and going back and forth,
Okay.
to avoid the chaos of the move.
No, I understand to move the people once, just to reevaluate the floor plans. That's like we're going back to the drawing board after.
So maybe this is something that I didn't mention properly. So what we mean by reevaluating floor plans is that we didn't know the plan for the 16th floor at the moment. So we would start by the 16th floor. For example, you're going to start with your current plans to construct the 17th floor at the moment first. So you would shift that plan to the 16th, and that way all your levels would be kind of switched around. That way you you move only your person once, your employee once. But this is an extreme case scenario, as it's probably a lot of money to reevaluate your plans, and we don't want to foster that. So this is why we really want to see with the first group of movers, so the one that are going to go, for example, from the 17th to the 16th, and when they go back to the 17th, how did they feel? Did they feel that they have to move twice? Is it a lot of chaos for them? And what were the repercussion on performance? I don't know if that clarifies.
In your cost to financials, I don't see anything here about your fees.
Our consulting fees?
Yes.
So we would assume that they would be included in your overall construction budget as part of the implementation. So we did not include them here.
So basically this plan, we would implement and not you come in and implement, is that
We would be
correct?
more than happy to come in after for the discussions.
Yeah.
Thank you, Merci.
Thank you.